With the news that Toy Story 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all on the way, we thought we'd...
Heads up!
Just kidding. Did I getcha, huh? To be honest, we don't need a good reason to talk about the Toy Story franchise, as they're all some of the best animated movies of all time, so we thought we'd take the time to look into all the things that you might have missed in the original trilogy, from Easter eggs involving other Pixar movies to subtle references to the movie stars. This is everything you might have missed. First off, while the original Toy Story may have missed out on 3 Academy Awards, it's still the owner of a particular coveted prize as the holder of a Guinness World Record.
Reach for the sky.
That's because the 1995 film is the first ever feature-length computer animated movie, meaning it will forever be remembered in the history books.
Give me 5, man.
Toy Story 3, yeah, that was a true punch to the heart, with it bringing up many emotions that I never knew I had, as it brought the saga around full circle. Well, until they released the 4th one, that is, but that's beside the point. To show that the 3rd movie brings everything around, the closing shot of the movie is the same as the opening shot to the original Toy Story, with the white clouds on a blue sky imagery. Now, if you're a Pixar fan, you would likely have heard of the Pixar Theory that every one of their movies is connected and that they live in a shared universe. Theorists believe that Toy Story, which was set in the 90s and the 2000s, takes place after the likes of The Good Dinosaur, Brave, and The Incredibles, but years before movies like Cars, Monsters, Inc., and Wall-E. If you haven't heard of the theory, I suggest you look into it. It's pretty fascinating. One of the best Easter eggs in the Toy Story series is hidden very much in plain sight. As the gang plan to rescue Woody and locate Al's toy barn, they draw a map to the store showing that it's located at 1001 West Cutting Boulevard. Now, while that may be the case in Pixar world, the address in real life is actually the location of Pixar Animation Studios itself in Richmond, California. When it comes to animated movies, sometimes objects in the background, such as books, are often left bare, but there are other times when the background objects, like, again, books, are used to provide secret meanings or jokes. My personal favorite is all of the cheese-related book names in Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Of course, seeing as it's in this video, Toy Story also has some hidden meanings with its books in the background. Some of the books are references to Pixar shorts, such as The Adventures of Andre and Wally B, Red's Dream, Tin Toy, and Knick Knack, while Smurl Smurl Twist and Twirl is a reference to Pixar animator Elliot Smurl. Other made-up books include Feet First, Pale Cowboy from Texas, and Help of the Planet. However, there is one real book to appear on Andy's shelves, Grimm's Fairy Tale, which many will know served as the main inspiration for a ton of Disney animated classics. Pixar is known for creating fictional brands and companies that appear in multiple movies, and there are some great examples of these in Toy Story. In Toy Story 3, when Buzz's back is exposed, we see his batteries are branded with the words B&N, which is the logo for the By and Large chain that features predominantly in Wall-E. As Andy's mom pulls into the gas station while on the way to Pizza Planet in the first Toy Story, we can see the Dynaco petrol brand lit up, the fuel company that Lightning dreams of being sponsored by in Cars, and one that also appears in Wall-E. Speaking of Pizza Planet, the fast food chain has become an Easter egg in itself, with it also appearing in A Bug's Life, Monsters Inc., and again, Wall-E. Wow, Wall-E, all about those corporate Easter eggs. Now, I know we've covered this detail quite a few times on this channel already, but the truth is it never gets old. We are talking about the fact that the carpet that can be seen in Sid's house in the original Toy Story is the very same infamous carpet found on the floors of the Overlook Hotel in Stanley Kubrick's horror masterpiece, The Shining, or The Shinning, as Willie would say.
Here's Johnny!
The Toy Story movies make a number of Room 237 references as well in the series, such as the RM237 number plate on the back of the garbage truck that's in Toy Story 3, as well as the Overlook R237 security camera seen at Sunnyside's daycare, and the username Velocistar237.
Oh, that's just a dinosaur.
The janitor, Mr. Tony, and his staring into the mirror is a reference to Danny and his imaginary friend Tony in the movie, while the Sunnyside daycare's control room tissue box and microphone are all references to The Shining. While Toy Story 1 opens with clouds, Toy Story 2 opens with stars. And if you gaze closely enough, you may notice that one of the constellations looks remarkably familiar. If you look in the top right corner, you'll see a star system that resembles a lamp, which of course is a reference to Pixar's logo. We've already mentioned the RM237 number plate, but there are a number of other number plates with hidden meanings. For instance, the license plate of Andy's mom's car reads A113, which is a reoccurring reference in every Pixar movie, and it relates to the classroom of the California Institute of the Arts, where many of the studio's animators learned their craft. Also, the Pizza Planet delivery truck reads RES1536, which is a reference to the resolution the film was rendered in. Also, you can see a sticker on the back of the truck that reads, "How's my driving? Ha 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 ha," which is kind of fitting seeing as how beat up that truck is. Lightning McQueen is one of the most famous faces in Pixar.
Yeah!
Wait, is it still a face when it's a car? Hoods? I mean, he does have a face, but it's on the hood, so, Anyway, Lightning McQueen is one of the most famous somethings in Pixar's catalog, so it's no surprise that the character is referenced in the Toy Story series. In Toy Story 3, one of the kids at the daycare is wearing a shirt with the number 95 on it with a lightning bolt, an obvious reference to McQueen. In the words of Owen Wilson, wow. The line, "Sweet Mother of Abraham Lincoln," said by Jesse to Woody in Toy Story 2 may just sound like a funny and quirky line, but there is actually more to it than meets the eye, or ears as it's technically said out loud. Anyway, that's because it's making a reference to actor Tom Hanks' real-life family ancestry, with Hanks reportedly being related to former President Abraham Lincoln, with Hanks saying that he is likely a distant cousin of the family through President Lincoln's mother, Nancy Hanks. While Toy Story is obviously known for the fact that it brought toys to life, it wasn't actually the first movie to do this. I mean, Child's Play is basically a traumatizing version of Toy Story.
We're friends to the end.
The movie was released in 1988, the same year that Pixar released the movie Tin Toy, where a tin toy's daily routine as a drum major gets interrupted by a meddlesome baby who continuously follows and torments him. This was the first time Pixar developed the idea of toys being alive, and Tin Toy's success as an Academy Award winner led to the creation of Toy Story. This next one goes out to you 90s kids out there. If you look closely at the tools Sid uses to mutilate the toys in the original movie, you'll notice that they're made by the tool brand Binford. Now, if you're also a fan of the 90s sitcom Home Improvement starring Buzz Lightyear actor Tim Allen, you'll know that Binford is the fictional hardware company that sponsors Tim Toolman Taylor's show, Tool Time.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Going back to the fellow Pixar movie Easter eggs now. If you look closely in the background of Al's toy barn in Toy Story 2, you may notice the familiar faces of Flick and Dim in toy form. Another Bug's Life reference in Toy Story 2 comes in the scene where Mrs. Potato Head reads a book related to the film. Now, it wouldn't be a House of Mouse movie without a reference to the mouse himself. Images of Mickey are often hiding in the background of Disney movies, and seeing as Pixar is part of the Disney umbrella, they are no different. If you look at the clock hanging on the bedroom wall of Andy's room, you'll notice that slap bang in the middle of it is Mickey himself, with his literal hands telling the time. Continuing with Andy's bedroom wall, as you probably have noticed, Pixar likes to make subtle tributes to themselves and their employees in their movies. One of the best examples of this is the map that can be seen on Andy's wall in Toy Story 3, with there being multiple pins located on different geographical points around the world. These pins actually correspond with the real-life hometowns of the movie's production team and where they all came from. But not only do Pixar staff like to make subtle tributes to themselves in the background, but they also like to make sneaky cameos. Two of the Toy Story directors, John Lasseter and Lee Unkrich, provide the voices of the Rock'em Sock'em robots in Al's office.
Hey, he was talking to me! No, he was talking to me!
while one of the movie's writers, Andrew Stanton, provided the voice of Emperor Zurg.
Buzz Lightyear.
Jeff Pidgeon, who worked in the animation department for the first 2 movies, provides the voice for the Green Aliens, while Toy Story 1 writer Joe Ranft is the voice of Wheezy in Toy Story 2.
Yeah, Mr. Shark looked in the toy box and found me an extra squeaker.
One of the richest sequences in terms of Easter eggs has to be the opening train sequence in Toy Story 3. The rock formation in the background is a reference to the East Mitten Butte in Monument Valley, which has appeared in multiple westerns over the years, such as John Ford's The Searchers. Also, the number of the train is 95, which is a reference to the year 1995, when the first Toy Story movie came out, while the money, money, money line, yelled by Mr. Potato Head, is the same line yelled by Andy in Toy Story 1.
Money, money, money.
As we mentioned, Toy Story likes to pay homage to other great movies and maestros like Stanley Kubrick, so it's unsurprising that they make a reference to another movie great, Steven Spielberg. As Rex runs behind the car in Toy Story 2, the movie provides a shot of Rex following them in the wing mirror, which is a direct parody to the Must Go Faster scene in Jurassic Park, where a T-Rex chases Jeff Goldblum and company as they speed off in a Jeep. Back to the Pixar cameos now. On a poster in Andy's room in Toy Story 3, we can see the image of a car that resembles that of the Aston Martin stylized Finn McMissile character in Cars 2, who was voiced by the great Michael Caine. Also, if you look to the right side of the room, you'll see the PU flag, which is a reference to Pixar University. And back to the movie references now, because we are all over the place in this video. After Buzz is brainwashed into joining Lotso and his gang in Toy Story 3, he gives a Night in the Box monologue to the captured toys. For all you film buffs out there, you may have guessed that this speech is a reference to the Night in the Box scene from the 1967 movie Cool Hand Luke, starring Paul Newman, which follows Luke Jackson, a prisoner who manages to escape from prison every time he's captured, while the staff of the camp devise a plan to catch him. The speeches, when played side by side, are almost word for word, although Tim Allen admittedly gives his speech a little more oomph.
The prisoner caught outside their cell spends the night in the box.
Continuing on with the classic film references, as Zurg has Buzz right where he wants him after their battle, and after another classic film reference, but more on that later, Zurg powers his gun up to 11 to bring it to its highest ability. This is a reference to the up to 11 expression coined by the mockumentary movie This Is Spinal Tap, as Nigel explains how the amps for his band go up to 11, one higher than all the other bands. Pixar is considered one of the best animation studios in the world, but another juggernaut in the animation industry is, of course, Studio Ghibli, and in particular, the movies of the legendary man who is constantly retiring and then coming out of retirement, Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki has made some of the best movies in the animation world and the movie world in general, with films such as Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, and my personal favorite, Princess Mononoke. To honor Miyazaki and his work, Toy Story 3 included a familiar Ghibli face, with the one and only Totoro making a cameo as one of Bonnie's toys. We said we would mention it, so let's talk about all of the Star Wars references the Toy Story trilogy makes, some of which are pretty obvious and some less so. First off is the one that we mentioned during the Zurg versus Buzz battle, where Zurg reveals that he is Buzz's father, to which Buzz responds, "No!" Which, let's face it, everyone knows what that's a reference to. The scene in Toy Story 3 where Big Baby throws Lotso into the dumpster is a reference to when Vader throws the Emperor into the core of the Death Star in Return of the Jedi, only to come back in Rise of Skywalker, but I am not getting into that right now. Also, Sid's interrogation of Woody and his rebel friends in Toy Story 1 is a parody of Grand Moff Tarkin interrogating Princess Leia in New Hope. Buzz telling Woody that Zurg is building a weapon to destroy planets is a reference to the Death Star, while the TIE fighter shooting and Vader breathing sound effect are also used in the movie. Before Pixar made feature-length animated movies, they were known for their multiple short films such as The Adventures of Andre and Wally B, Tin Toy, Knick Knack, Jerry's Game, and Luxo Jr., with the Luxo Ball appearing in multiple Pixar movies, including Toy Story. And finally, you probably already know this, but just on the off chance that you don't, The sanitation worker who ties Lotso to the front of his garbage truck is, of course, Sid from Toy Story 1, with the original voice actor Eric Von Detten even reprising the role.